The first side to get a first chance to stake a claim and get ready for the World Cup?
I think, after the last few months of pre-season, I think it's excitement. Obviously good for a handful of boys to get their debuts on the weekend as well. So being part of that build-up has been great. But it's been a long pre-season camp already, and to get into the games now, everyone's excited. You got your first chance to put your hand up. We've only got 3 games, so I imagine the boss man will rotate. So you have to take your chances when they come, and this is the first chance come Saturday.
Alongside Max Llewellyn, someone who you know particularly well, how's that been going in training?
I got to know him well the last few months, I tell you. It's gone really well. I think Max thoroughly deserves his place after performance with Cardiff. Obviously still young in the game, really impressed physically, rugby brain as well. Trained very well throughout this pre-season period. Obviously we got a real good group of centres now, as well as across the whole squad of selection options. But great for Max to get his opportunity on Saturday, and I'm sure he'll do well. And I've been very impressed with the way he sort of stepped up into international rugby.
And for yourself, have you seen yourself as a 13 now? How's it working in terms of the two?
TBC, I think. No, I think so. I think certainly this pre-season's been focused around gearing up to sort of stay in that jersey. Like I said, obviously competition's really big in the centres now. We got a lot of young guys pushing through. But excited to get my opportunity come Saturday in the 13 shirt.
Word about Lee Halfpenny, youngest player to 50 caps until you came along. Just give an assessment for him reaching 100.
I thought you'd ask me about this, and there was no way I could answer without sounding like a married couple. We've been doing it, 14 years together, thick and thin through illness and health, injuries and what have you. I can't think of a Welshman that deserves it more for his service to the country, what he's given for years in big moments and in moments where he stepped up and delivered for us. Obviously he's had a rough old time with injuries, and it's kept him away from kept him on 99 for a long enough time. But what a player! If any young players looking up to how it should be done in terms of professionalism, the way you look after yourself, on and off the field. He's a very good friend of mine, and someone I'm actually chuffed to be able to take that field with him on Saturday for him to earn his 100th cap. I don't think you can say any higher compliment than that. He's probably the one guy I think deserves it out most, really.
Still a summer series game, World Cup warm-up, but it is still Wales-England. When you look back at Wales-England games, was the one a couple of years ago maybe your favourite in the 13 shirt?
There's been a few. I think the first and foremost, where again the Six Nations to where we are now, I think we're in a much different place, a much better place, very different. It's been a lot of hard graft. I think any chance you put a Welsh jersey on is huge, but to go against England at home is massive. I know there'll be a massive crowd there, which is understandable, and I think that, like I said, there's not many chances now before the World Cup to put the jersey on, so I think it'll be pretty full bore.
And finally, from me, you look at the England team. Porter and Marchand in the centres, maybe not their first choice. What do you make of the side they're putting out against you?
I think it's the same as anyone in the position in pre-World Cup. With the warm-up games, I think you've got to give boys opportunities. You've got to try new combinations, and I think from there you get an understanding what your squad will look like. Come your forward-back split going into the World Cup selection, then obviously after these games. Looking at both sides, I think it's going to be a great game. I think you've got a lot of young guys who are chomping at the bit, not too many old boys like myself hanging around. But again, it's the first hit out after a long few weeks of training, so I think it'll be a good one.
I lied about the final question. Are there a different side where Marcus Smith is playing, a different approach?
Don't lie, it's not good. Obviously with Marcus, he provides a bit more. Obviously, rather than your straight to the line attacking that Farrell does, but again, his looseness that is so good in attack. Obviously, it's also good for our defence as well. So like both sides of the sword, it's going to hurt either side. But for us, like I said, the combination they've picked shows that they've got good depth at the moment. They've got opportunity to blood new players, new combinations, and I think the battles will be good on Saturday.
George, you mentioned about quite a few young players in the squad.
Don't say my age.
Yeah, I was nearly going to. Are you feeling a bit of an old man?
In spirit, no. Yeah, it's what was it now? There's not. What do we work it out as? It was since 2011. There's only a handful of the survivors, we say, are still going. Who have we got? We got Lids, Tobes, Harfers, myself. It's 4. Am I counting right? So there's a few of us hanging on. But again, this is. I think if you go look back at 2011, it was exactly what we had then. We were the young boys coming through with a handful of the senior boys still going. The camp has been brutal. It really has. It's one of the probably the worst ones I've been on. Worst or good, if that makes sense. But the mixture we've got now and the vibe we had, especially at Six Nations, is completely different. And for the new boys getting their first caps, obviously it's a huge honour, and for Pence getting his 100th cap is incredible. But there's a good vibe around the camp at the moment. We've had a tough few weeks away, back and straight into the pointy end of the stick now, haven't we?
Does it keep you on your toes a little bit? What I mentioned earlier about perhaps there are so many young players coming through. It's sort of just giving everyone a bit of a reminder that places are up for grabs, competition.
Since day dot, Gas has always said everyone's fighting every day, so there's been no grey area in that point. Gas likes to poke the bear, as everyone knows, and from day dot he's made very aware that the way, not only his mindset but the coach's mindset in terms of the selection, the forward back split, what that looks like as a back line, how many 9s, 10s, centres, back three we're taking, and that versatility. So it's kept everyone on their toes, myself included. It's pushed me further. It's pushed younger boys to step up. And I guess, the proof is in the pudding now. We've got 3 games to really step up and show why you deserve to be on that plane out to France.
Do you remember those few weeks before 2011 when you were the new boy on the block, pushing to get the excitement that perhaps of what was there, the carrot?
I think in 2011 there was a handful of young boys, young men I should say, men. But I just remember, obviously I got my first cap in 210 and straight into a World Cup prep camp. It was all a bit of a blur, and the excitement. But I remember that. Just thinking that every day I'd survive one more day. Obviously the first cut came, I was still in the next cut, and it sort of instilled in me and a lot of the younger guys that were at the time, that the remainers, as they say, that the qualities that Gats wants and looks for, and he's installed that into the young boys now again, is like never giving up, always working hard. Some of the sessions we did in Switzerland, unless you see it, you don't really know. Unless you do it, you don't really feel it. Turkey the same. It's typical. We go there when they have a heat wave, which is even hotter than it was normally, which is brilliant. And some of that sessions where you think, there's no way we can do it, but you grind it out as a team and you get what you want out of it. It does stand you in good stead, And like I said, it does feel like a bit of a carbon copy of 211 in terms of that vibe of a lot of the younger guys coming through with some of the senior boys leading. Like I said, I think after so many weeks of graft, you want to just be back playing. Saturday's going to hurt, but that's why you're here to play.
You spoke about Lee Hupp and his longevity. Your own longevity. This is looking at a 4th World Cup. You still love it, still enjoy it, still got that same fight?
If you asked me a few times on the pre-season, I wouldn't have answered that. It's slightly the same, but I'm still enjoying, still loving it, still competing, which is the main thing. And again, it's an opportunity to have a different role for me again now, with it being 4 compared to the first one, and understanding what it takes, not just knowing your role, but knowing, 2 or 3 roles, which can obviously help your selection, covering both wings, but, in the centre, knowing that injuries happen. In games, you have to chop and change, as we've seen many times. And it's just parting some wisdom on the younger guys, knowing that, yes, you can do this, but you need to be good at this and this to really open the opportunity or make your selection a little bit easier to put your hand up.
Being able to cover a few more positions always makes you selectable, doesn't it? And finally, last one from me. Warren just said that he thought the squad was in just a much better place than it was during the Six Nations. I think you might have just sort of mentioned that earlier. Can you just describe that? How is that right? Is it a more settled?
Well, after Six Nations, anything's better than that, isn't it? Really, I think after all the stuff going on. Yeah, I think it's a much better place. I think now, obviously, we've had a bit more time with all the coaches that come in. Gats has obviously put down and sat down with the coaches and put a real marker down. This is what we are, and this is who we are, and this is how we're going to do it. So there's no grey area. So when we are going to work in, Switzerland, Turkey, back in the mini camps here at the start, we had no grey area. We're just like working hard. This is what we do. This is how we do it. This is how we're going about it. And I think, obviously, like I said, that competition drives it as well. That competition drives the levels of professionalism. It drives the levels of, like going to the next level, pushing people on, skill set, rugby, doing your homework off the field. And the vibe is completely different from Six Nations. And I think the understanding and the boys believing in what we've done from, what was the first day, 25th of May till today, it will pay dividends, and you just got to trust the system and trust in yourself, which is again a big part of the messages we've had from day dot from Gats is, we're not doing this hard graft for nothing. We don't apologise for working hard. He never has apologised for working as hard, but trust in that and trust in yourself, and we'll be all right. And I think you saw that in 211 and 215 as well.
Okay, Alex.
Hi George. Warren likened Jack to Sam. Sam's obviously a great mate of yours, someone you know very well. Do you see those similarities? Is it weird in any way?
I do see the similarities. I think obviously great for Jack to obviously to captain the side. What he's done for the Ospreys and when he's had the opportunity in the Welsh shirt, it's been brilliant. I see the similarities in the fact that there's not much. They're not a talking captain; they're a doing captain. Jack is very much follow me and I'll do it, which is kind of very similar to what Warby was. And I think, again, looking at the way Jack's trained over this sort of last 2 months or so, it's been really good to see him mature into that role of, stepping up, talking when needed, putting boys in their place when it's not right. And for him to get the opportunity is a huge honour for him.
Rob?
You've got a bloke who's just as big as you alongside you now in Max Llewellyn. Are you 6'5"?
Ish.
Yeah. He's definitely 6'5", isn't he?
Ish, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge midfield combination. I mean, it's, his dad was 6'5" or 6" playing in the second row. I mean, it's amazing how the game has evolved. Yeah,
I think across the board, from the front row to the 15 now. Look at the athletes and the physicality that the game demands. And I've just when the younger boys are asking in Switzerland, like what was it like in 211, and 215, and you try to describe it in terms of the work is what they're doing is relevant for now, but back in 215, 211, we never did that on 219. So the game has evolved, our conditions evolved. So relatively, we're at a different level again now. So to play the game, you've got to keep up with it. And the game is moving so fast, you have to be up with it.
The Gats we all trust, he seemed very excited.
Did he smile?
Well, no, he didn't.
There you go.
but he's got you all together now. It's his team again, isn't it?
It's his stamp, yeah. And I think from the very first day, there was no grey areas. Gats has always made a point that he'll never apologise for working you hard. And I think to get at this level, consistently competing at this level and winning, working hard that is just a given. And he certainly has worked as hard.
How fit would you describe yourself as now?
Well, I'll let you know Saturday. Is I think forever how fit you are come the first game, it's always tough to get your lungs going. But I think myself, the boys are in pretty good shape. We are in really good shape. The graft. Try to describe it to like I said, if you see it, I know some of you came out to Switzerland, you saw a glimpse of it. Turkey was another level again, and I think myself. Well, I know myself and all the boys are really excited just to get out and play on Saturday now and really hopefully put all that hard work to use.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got time for 2 more questions, so we'll do James for 1 and then Graham and then we're done.
George, have you and Max stood back to back and seen who's the tallest?
No, I will do now though. Yeah, I'll let you know.
And when you burst on the scene, you were sort of a freak in the back line, being the size you are now. It's quite normal.
Yeah, trendsetter maybe, I don't know. No, it's good. You know, like I said, the combination now between the younger boys coming through and stepping up, it's great. You know, likes of obviously Mace had a couple of runs out. It's come Six Nations. He's obviously an amazing player. You got Johnny Williams back in now in the mixer as well. Obviously been injured. Young Joe Roberts, Nick Tompkins. You know, these guys who different shapes and sizes, but pushing everyone on, and it's been great to see. You know, across the whole back line. You know, obviously having Cuthie back, he's coming back now. Tom Rogers been training really well. Been really impressed with him. Sam Costello, I've been really impressed with over this block. You know, and these young boys taking the opportunity with both hands in training and getting their jersey on the weekend is much deserved.
Okay, and then we'll finish up with one from Graham.
George, Warren said earlier on he felt he couldn't be very assertive during the Six Nations. He talked about having to let events play out what was happening in the game, I suppose. Has there been a moment in the last few weeks where you've realised, he's back, he's in charge?
It's been a fair few to be honest. He's found his voice for sure. Like I said, it was set out from day dot. You know, I think after the Six Nations, we all took it very personally, as we do, because it's our fingerprints on it. And Gats himself took it on him to make it right. And from day dot, he's been back to it. You know, he's been back playing his normal mind games. He's been around the boys, geeing them up, poking the bear as well. And again, he knows exactly what he wants now, and he knows that he's installed it within his coaches and with his coaches then to us. And you know, for us, like anything, your first game of pre-season is always tough to get your timings right and what have you. But you need these games to really be fine for the World Cup. But from our point of view, there's been no grey areas. We know exactly where we are in attack and D, and I think. Well, I know from Six Nations to now is much different, and I think he's had the ability to put his stamp on it. More than he did in Six Nations. Same with the coaches. You know, we've had a lot more time on the paddock with them, a lot more time to sit down, been away on camps, have a coffee with them, understand how they see things falling out, how they see things working, bouncing ideas off. Some being accepted, some being shut down. But that's just where we are. You know, everyone's has the ability to put something forward, and if it works, brilliant. If it not, we move on. We try something different, and Saturday will be a much different team compared to Six Nations.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks.